Today I'm going to talk to you about composting at home. You don't need a fancy compost bin like this. A couple of pallets left over will do just fine. Here is my compost prepared earlier. Now I'm using biodegradable cornstarch bags that really disintegrate almost before they're even in the compost bin, so really quickly. Not all biodegradable bags are created equal. Some do take a really long time to decompose, so you need to check that. But that means I can just put this straight in the top of the bin. If you don't have biodegradable ones, you need to make sure that you empty the bags out the last thing you want with plastic inside your compost. So I've put the food in and I've got quite a bit in there now. So the next thing I'm going to do is just rip up a bit of cardboard. I've got some here, and layer that on the top. I've made sure that I have removed all the bits of packing tape from this piece of cardboard already. Because again, you do not want to get plastic fragments inside your compost. There we go. That's all you need. And as that compost, that will sink down and you'll end up with more space again. The reason why we put cardboard in is to stop the moisture levels getting too high, or you'll end up with just a swampy, boggy compost bin. There are lots of different items that you can safely compost in your bin, including eggshells and tea bags, so long as, again, you make sure that there are no staples and there's no plastic content to them. Coffee grinds are excellent, and vegetable scraps from making dinner. What you don't want is to put anything in there that's going to make your soil too acidic, such as lemons and oranges. And you don't want to put too much wood in there because that takes a really long time to break down. And you don't want to put anything in the compost bin that's going to be really tempting for a rat to try to get into. So you don't want any actual food in there, like actual proper vegetables and fruits, meat, bread, carbohydrates, that sort of things. Stuff that looks quite appealing to eat still. So vegetable matter, that's onion skins, garlic skins, odds and ends of your carrots, things like that, that's all fine to go in here. You also want to avoid putting weeds into the bin or seeds, and that's because they will grow again and then you've contaminated your compost and you'll be spreading those weeds and seeds all over your garden when you come to using it later. This compost design is pretty good because it has a little door at the bottom, and so as the compost decomposes and creates your nice healthy soil, that's going to accumulate at the bottom. So that's where you can shovel it out from while still keeping the top periodically filled. There are other designs too. If you have pallet composts, you may be able to take one wall away when you need to dig it out and dig from the bottom. Or if not, you might use a rotation of several compost bins. There are lots of different types of compost bins available, and you can get special flakes to help you decompose the matter. But this one is quite simple. You don't need to buy any special equipment for it. You just need some sort of container to put all your plant material into. This one is on soil now, but you don't need to put your compost bin on the soil either. Even on concrete, worms will find their way into the compost bin and get in there. So don't need to worry about that. But for this one, the worms will just be moving their way through the soil and naturally climbing up through the compost bin. And that's what we want. We need some worms in the compost bin to make the process work. So if you find that you are struggling with worms, or you're in an area that has low worms, you may need to buy some worms in, or go down to the allotment, pick up some worms, take them home, put them in the compost bin. Ask a friend. dig up some worms and hand them over to you, a worm exchange. So there's ways around it. You can, if you want, put your grass into your compost bin, but most people like to use a separate grass clippings bin for this. If you're digging up squares of grass with the mud and roots still attached, you can turn these upside down, and that'll help stop the grass growing through. But every time you do add grass to a compost bin, you are risking spreading that grass throughout your growing space. So that's why most people prefer to have a separate area just for their grass, but you don't need to. So that's all there is to it. It's easy to get started with minimal equipment and knowledge. I'm just going to grab my little windowsill compost bin now, take that back, and I'm sure that'll fill up again in no time.